Welcome to Anderson Penn's Sunday Brunch Menu 21 for Sunday, January 8th, 2023. I'm Eric. Here's Brian. Brian, how are you?
Hello, good, fantastic.
Happy New Year. It's our first Sunday brunch of the new year. What year is it? 2023?
2023, yes.
Can't believe it.
I've only written one check, so I'm
You've
100%.
written a check?
I'm 100%.
Interesting.
Yes.
Oh, I have not yet written a check. Today, of course, is January 8th. I said that in the opening. Why is that date familiar?
Because it comes right after the 7th, and it happens every year.
Every year.
Every year.
Right after the 7th and before the 9th. We'll get to the 9th in a minute.
No idea.
But today...
You said I'd know all the answers to
this is not the quiz. Today is Justin's birthday.
Oh, wow.
So, happy birthday, Justin. And as soon as we're done here, we're going to have cake and ice cream. And I've got some hats and some noisemakers.
Fantastic.
Yeah. But moving on from Justin's birthday, tomorrow, January 9th, is, wait for it, National Clean Off Your Desk Day.
Oh.
This is celebrated each year on the second Monday of January. National Clean Off Your Desk Day is an opportunity to begin your new year with a clean and organized workspace. You're going to do that?
Oh, I'm not going to be here.
You know, won't be.
So I think I'm exempt, but we should... I wonder how many pens I have on my desk at home.
You've got two desks that I know of.
Yes.
One at home and one here, and both of them would benefit from National Clean Off Your Desk Day. This is not a secret.
What are you saying?
This is not a secret. I'll get a picture. And have you ever done that? Because the way I do it is I take everything off the desk.
Oh, is that what you do?
And clean the desk, and then as I sort of try to curate what I put back. Do I really need this?
Okay.
Like the computer, yes, I do. But you clean that before you put it back on.
So you cleaned it and then it's...
And I really like it when it's done. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of get sloppy and things... Not as sloppy as you, but you kind of leave things on the desk. Have you ever done it?
I'm a little insulted.
I think you're famous for this, though. This is not news to anybody, except maybe the entire audience.
I have probably more pens on my desk, man.
You have more pens on your desk than I own.
That is not probably true.
Not true, but might be. Might be true.
Well, you ask me every week, we got to bring a pen for Sunday Brunch, a pen for the podcast.
So you take 100 out to find one?
Well, no, so what I end up doing is I end up going in the chest, I'll pull a pen out, like today, for example, and I'll ink it up, and then, it still has ink in it, so I got to kind of use it up, but then I never use it,
so... You have at least a dozen just from the show and tell.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you're just blaming Sunday Brunch for that.
I'm just saying it's a casualty of the job.
I mean, in your defense, you have lots of pens on your desk because you kind of like pens.
I do.
You do. You really like pens. Another thing you really like are wristwatches. I have my Apple, so I don't have to show it off, but you have one.
You asked me to bring one, and so I did. I don't know if I've shown this one before.
Well, let's pretend you haven't, and I'll act like I've never seen it. Ooh, what is that?
This is a... actually, for the first time ever, I actually checked the date code on it today. It's a 1979 Seiko Laurel, and it has a really cool dial. What I like about it is the engraved indices on the outside track, and then the Ashime style model dial. Really super cool.
Okay, you said indices.
Yeah. So your marks here, your 12, 3, 6, and 9 have the 3 slashes, and then the rest of the hours have 1. And it's engraved into the marker, the ring.
The ring around that is the marker.
Yeah.
Oh,
chapter marker is a chapter.
Chapter marker?
Yeah.
So an entire new vocabulary I need to understand watches.
Well,
just like pens, section, grip.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. So it's a cool watch. So it's kind of on the small side.
This is the crown.
This is the crown. Yeah.
That's the crystal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are hands, or is there a fancy word for that?
Well, second hand.
Specific hands. Yeah.
So, but I like that one. I got that. Actually, I got that one from Japan. So.
Because I have an Apple Watch, I can put different complications on it.
Yep.
Which just means to me that I switch the things that are on my watch face. But in the world of analog watches, what's a complication? Because I'm sure that's where it came from.
Complication would be the most common one, of course, is the chronograph. So the stopwatch is a chronograph. Okay. Anything that tells day, date, month, moon phase, anything other than...
It makes it more complicated.
Yeah, anything that makes it more complicated other than hours, minutes, and seconds.
I have a lot of pens that have complications.
Don't we all?
I like that. Complications.
Complications.
Thank you for that. What's the maker of that?
Seiko.
That's a Seiko.
Seiko,
Okay. Before we move on, please like this video and consider subscribing to our YouTube channel as a regular watcher of the Anderson Pens YouTube channel. You, of course, will already know that we reached our goal of 10,000 subscribers by the end of last year, 2022. So I just have to say thank you, and thank you. And that's because that's why Lisa was here.
Yes.
Lisa did the podcast 2 podcasts ago. The
If
very
you get
last
us
one.
to 20,000 by the end of this week, Lisa will be back.
Yes. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. And I have a joke.
You do? Okay.
I do.
Fantastic.
I think you have one too.
I do too.
What do you call, Mr. Anderson, what do you call a bacterial disease caused by 2 grizzlies?
No idea.
Tuberculosis. No, I said it wrong. Tuberculosis.
Oh, man.
Now, do you have a joke or a story?
I've got a little... It's kind of a story. It's kind of a story. Yeah. Did you know when I was a kid, when I was younger, before I got into the pen business and the IT business, I actually used to work.
It's a lie.
Already. I used to work at Old McDonald's farm. Did you know that? You know, horses and cows and chickens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You didn't know that? Yeah, I was the CIEIO.
The CIEIO. Then what happened? Okay, yeah. Sometimes your stories. I like your stories. I brought a pen.
Great.
I'm going to go first because mine's modern. You brought something that I can see that I don't know what it is, but it looks vintage.
You can see that you can't see.
I can see that I don't know what it is, but it's a retro 51, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
I brought a tiny pen.
This is interesting. You showed this to me.
I showed it to you. I don't think I showed it here because last Sunday brunch, I had one of the pens I got at the Madrid Pen Show, which was the Hemingway, and this is a Montblanc Rouge and Noir baby, they call it, because it's so tiny. Bébé. It's the Rouge and Noir, so that it has the coral on the top.
Coral, yeah.
This is a slip cap, which I like. And this screws in.
Oh, it screws on. Okay.
On, so that you basically have a pen that's large enough to write with. It's just the cutest thing. I had to have it. It's so cute.
That brass barrel insert on that probably, and that cap.
Why don't you take a look?
Yeah.
It's a cartridge only. So I do have a cartridge in it.
Try to put one of those Kaweco mini converters in there?
I don't care for them because they don't hold a lot of ink. What I do is refill the cartridge with ink that I like. There's some sort of a spring down in here that kind of puts pressure on it to keep it in place. Onto the cartridge.
Does this unscrew?
I've never tried it. It's going to break my pen right here in front of us.
I like the little. Do like the knurled finish here on the end. That's kind of nice.
Yeah, it makes it interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a medium nib, but of course it's a Montblanc medium, which means it's a magic marker.
Nice purple ink.
For me, this is a Montblanc Amethyst. No, this is the 750.
Oh, okay. How do I know?
So I didn't bring another pen to show next to this to show it. It's a small pen. It's a baby pen.
Yeah, it is. It is small. Here's the one that I brought. Just to give you a size reference. So this is an unusual pen. I got this quite a number of years ago. It's gold-filled overlay, French, but it has the maker is not somebody I'm familiar with. So it has an engraving on the barrel here that actually just simply says Jane's, and it's in parentheses. So I doubt that meant that this was Jane's pen, but it does have a French, what looks like a French hallmark here. Now, like I said, this is gold filled. It's not solid gold. It's not sterling. It's not vermeil, but there's some kind of manufacturer hallmark. I can make out the first line, which is L.A., but the rest of it, I just can't. I can't
French,
read.
it might be La.
Well, there's apparently a large number of, it could be. But in a hallmark, probably not. There's apparently a large number of French hallmarks that have the initials LA. Interesting pen. I haven't even opened it up, but it's modeled hard rubber, red and black modeled hard rubber with an overlay, which is very uncommon. Typically, your overlays are usually always on black hard rubber, almost never on modeled hard rubber. But this one, interesting.
You said you've never opened it up. That means you've never taken a section off.
No, I haven't opened it up today. This is restored.
You've uncapped it.
Yeah. I filled it up today. Nickel silver clip. But everything on here is in the Waterman style, but it's not Waterman.
I thought it was a Waterman.
It's not.
There's no number on them?
There's no number on the bottom. The lever actually has the globe logo, the Waterman globe logo, and then in the inside of the, where normally it would say ideal, it has PSF, which was Waterman's initials for pocket self filler, but it says PSF there. There's no Waterman anything on it. Somebody did put a Waterman nib in it, but it doesn't actually, you see if you flip it over, it doesn't actually fit as nicely down in there as whatever original nib was on here did.
So you're saying the nib is not original?
Nib is absolutely not
original.
Feed
probably is?
The feed, feed is absolutely original. But look at that, modeled hard rubber feed.
Beautiful.
Matching section. And I did ink it, but there we go. But it's got a little bit of flex to it. But if that feed were able to sit back a little bit further, that would eliminate this little pause issue there. But I got that a number of years ago just because I liked the overlay with the modeled hard rubber. Just something you don't see a lot.
And where did you get this, Mr.
I bought it, believe it or not, I think I bought this one off of Pentrace, and that may show how old I am. Because most people don't know what Pentrace is, which is actually still available, still up. It's a website that it came out actually I think maybe before FPN.
I think it's older than FPN.
It's older than FPN, yeah. And it's just essentially a list board, and then your topics just kind of scroll off the bottom. And somebody had this one, and then a second similar, presumably French or English pen out of green and black marbled hard rubber, which is also very uncommon. Hard rubber, any color other than black or red or mottled. It's very uncommon. But that's just a fun little pen. It's not perfect, but it's got a lot of brassing. It's definitely been well loved, well used.
Do we suppose that clip is original?
It's possible. It doesn't look like this pen ever actually had a clip, and so a combination clip certainly would have been, an add-on at least at the pen shop when it was bought. The clip is marked for nickel silver, and then it says JL Paris on the side. So whatever we can interpret that to be. But that's my pen of the week.
Cool pen.
It's 1920. It's about 100 years old now.
And still works.
Right
here.
Right there. Look at that.
Very nice. We're just going to have to keep you coming back because you got lots of nice pens. It's time for a quiz, though.
Okay, quiz.
We're going to test you.
I'm supposed to get this?
Well, today's topic is about pen shows, and so I made all the questions about pen shows, and you're you're an expert on the pen shows.
I was going to count. I don't remember how many I've been to. It's over 100 now.
I wasn't going to ask you that.
Yeah, it's over 100.
Yeah. My ink of the week in the last podcast was Sailor Ink Studio 750, which is a gorgeous
lovely purple.
This purple right here.
Yeah. Well, no wonder I liked it.
You'll be playing for this. If he gets 2 out of these 3 questions correct, then the first person to ask for this in an order can get it. Are you ready?
Number 1, have you ever been to a pen show? Yes. Ding.
Not that easy. Not that easy.
Okay.
But you should know this one.
Okay.
There's like a pen show circuit in the United States.
Sure.
And what is the first pen show to take place every year in the United States?
Well, this morning I was a little confused because I thought this morning it was Colorado, but it's that answer, of course, is your show, the Philadelphia.
Philadelphia takes place every January. Okay. And so we'll go to the other direction now. So that's one. Mm-hmm. What's the last pen show to take place every year in the United States?
United States, it's Columbus.
Okay. What state's that in?
Ohio.
Okay. So you already got 2 out of 3.
I got 2 out of 3.
And now...
that wasn't the same question?
No. It
wasn't like part A and part B?
No.
Oh, this is easy.
Oh, you want a really hard one?
Well, no.
In the United States, which pen show takes place at the highest elevation?
I'm going to have to... I have to say Colorado.
You have to say Colorado if you want to be right.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Very good. So,
All right.
most excellent. That's up for the claiming for anyone the first person who asks for it will get it with their order after this airs on
Sunday.
Today.
Yeah, today.
This morning.
Today.
Yeah.
Neither one of us are here.
I'll be here.
Oh, you'll be here.
You'll be going. When are you leaving?
I am leaving.
When did you leave?
I left yesterday.
You left?
I left yesterday.
And you'll be back?
On Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, so Friday.
Okay. So Steph and I are doing the podcast, the AP TV.
I'm going to watch it, just in case you give away the farm.
Don't think we will. You'll be back. You'll be in the air.
First 10 people to call, you get a free 823.
You'll be in the air on Thursday, so. And then I'm going to Philadelphia for the Philadelphia Pen Show.
Do we know a weather forecast yet?
51 degrees on
51.
Saturday. So that's...
There's no reason not to go to the Philly show if it's 51 degrees.
Even if it's snowing. There's no reason not to go.
There's no reason. I've been there when it's...
We've been there in Snowmageddon.
In a blizzard. Yes. Snowmageddon. What year was that? 5 years ago? 6 years ago?
But we had fun.
The people who came were just...
They're very serious
my goodness.
pen collectors, yes.
I mean, I thought it would have been the Antarctic or something. They're coming in, stomping all the snow off.
But speaking of that,
Yeah.
and speaking of pen shows in general, that's our topic today. Pen shows, why you should attend and how to survive. You started going to pen shows long before I was even in the pen. I didn't know the community existed.
Yeah, 1999.
Do you remember your first pen show?
Yeah, it was Miami in 1999.
1999.
Back when it was at the Biltmore, which was that really, really nice hotel.
So go back in time and tell us why you went to a pen show. Why would anyone go to a pen show? Not anyone. Why did you specifically go to it?
I went because at the time it was, it was on the other side of the state, but it was close enough. I was interested, and there were certain things that I wanted to see. I had a list of maybe 10 pens I was interested in, vintage pens, a Duofold Junior, a full-size Schaefer Balance, some Esterbrooks, and I just heard about it. I thought, that might be fun. I know there's one in Chicago coming up at the time, so I went to Miami, and then right after that, I actually moved back up to Wisconsin. But I wanted to go see all the pens, see what
you wanted to see pens.
And then when I went, and I realized there was not one but 2 rooms at that hotel. I was like, okay, sign me up, because it was fantastic. Lots of pens.
You just wanted to see?
I bought a few pens.
You bought a few.
I bought a few pens. Yeah, I don't think I actually have any of the pens that I bought then. I know I sold I bought a gray striated full size Schaefer Balance with the platinum trim.
Yeah, probably for $2, huh?
No, actually, I paid. I bought it as restored, and it needed some help. But it was even back in the day, it was probably $70, $50,
wow.
Something like that. Duofold Junior, that turned out to be a disaster. I got rid of that. But Esterbrook, I think that's all I got.
And this was your first pen show.
Yeah.
Did anything surprise you? The number of tables, I guess.
Yeah, I was really surprised that there were, because at that point I was buying pens on eBay.
Right.
And so, the world's your oyster if you're on eBay, and you can get all those pens, but then you're in one room and you can look at them, and it was just, I had to keep going around and around because I didn't know what to do. And but it was a good show, a fun show, and after that I just kind of got addicted to them.
And why do you say it was fun? Because you found pens to buy?
It was fun to talk to people, because at the time, some people who I was with didn't really understand the whole idea. So, you're walking into a room with like-minded people who, this is cool. And it was an opportunity to get more. I like the history aspect of vintage pens. So when I went, then it was all these people who were, many of them clearly older than me, really knew the history of that particular pen and that, and so they were able to pass that on.
So this was Brian Anderson as a pen newbie.
Yeah, I actually, a good friend of mine, Francis Baboulian, who lives in Minnesota, I see him at the Chicago show and the Ohio show every year. And he for some reason, whenever he sees me, he always says, well, I remember, he says, I tell people, I remember when you were like 16 and you came up to my table. I said, Francis, I wasn't 16. I was like 30, but
I was at least 18.
Yes, and it just seems like it was that many years ago.
That many years ago.
But yeah, it was nice to be able to talk to people and not feel silly and goofy about this
in
new
real
hobby.
life.
Yes,
Now, 1999, you said?
yeah, it was 99. Yeah.
So not a huge internet presence at the time. There was no fountain pen network.
No, in fact, that show was primarily, it's something that we'll probably never ever see again. And then it was, I don't recall there being any. I think I got a bottle of Oma's Green Ink as a gift for showing up, your entrance gift. But there was no ink at the show. There was no, it was pens.
Just pens.
Pens. Mostly
So it was.
pens. There were no notebooks.
It was
nothing.
traders, what we call now.
Yeah,
Traders,
yeah.
not pen shop people.
Yes, right.
It was.
Right. Yeah, no new pens in boxes.
We might want to say how pen shows actually started, because before we had the internet, people collected pens and they looked for pens in newspapers, and they reached out to one another via newspapers.
Yeah, they put ads in papers
To say, what have you got? And what, and they get in contact that way. And then they said, well, let's all meet up. We're all kind of near Ohio, Columbus, so let's go to stay at this hotel for the weekend. And they just traded amongst themselves.
Yeah.
And then somebody said, let's start inviting the public.
Yeah.
I don't know who that was or where that was. But it sounds like you're at one of those shows, because you've got the traders there who just have their pens.
I think the first couple Chicago pen shows were done actually at somebody's house, and then they get too many people, many pens,
Probably true.
And so then
Traders would meet up at someone's house.
Yeah.
So that's how pen shows grew into what they are today.
What they are today, yeah.
My first pen show, do you know which one? Based on where I live.
L.A.
The LA Pen Show was probably, I'm going to say 2010. Might have been 9, might have been 11. But I had the benefit of the internet. So I discovered that there was I like fountain pens, always have, never had one really that worked. Then I had one that didn't work, so I went looking to see how to fix it online, and I discovered there's this whole community of fountain pen users, collectors, and something about shows. And they have shows all throughout the country, different months. And, oh, look, there's one in my backyard in Los Angeles.
And the best one on the West Coast.
Yeah. So I went to my first pen show because I liked pens, and I wanted to buy pens. I wanted to see what they had. And so the LA Pen Show is different than most, because Thursday, Friday, Saturday is not really a public day.
Yes,
You have to pay extra.
Now that might be different this year.
Well, it's not the LA show.
It's not the LA show. It's a different show. Yeah,
it's the California Pen Show this year. So I don't know what they're doing.
Well, just in case anybody's watching, I don't want them, because they are different. Sort of.
Yeah, we can
different owners.
The Los Angeles Pen Show is usually in February, so that's next month. But the people who run it aren't doing it this year. So another couple people are doing the California Pen Show. I think at the same hotel, the Marriott.
Same week. Yeah, it's just the week right before.
I don't have their website in my head.
It's California Pen Show.
Might be California Pen Show. So I don't know what they're doing. But the way the LA Pen Show used to work is the Thursday, Friday, Saturday if you weren't a vendor and you wanted to get in, you had to pay extra as a trader.
$50 or $60 or whatever it is. Yeah.
I think it was 65 then.
Yeah.
And because the public day on Sunday, it's a madhouse.
It's like $10 to get in, or $7 or something.
Yeah,
something. It was really inexpensive.
Really cheap.
But yeah,
1,000 people show up and wait in line.
They line up around around the hotel.
It's amazing.
Which is really just, and then they would have, I know Yafa used to, they were big sponsors of the show, and they would have goodie bags with ink and whatever, and then people would just stand there with their arms out. It's like at a bike race, and then they just
they
come in
because it's that many people, and they're all trying to get into this one after another.
Some of them are a little more aggressive. They want to get in. They have a table. They need a nib grind or something. So they're literally running through the hall.
I'd say if you go on Sunday, you're too late.
You are too late. Yeah.
Which is why I did a little research before I went to my first pen show, and I went on Thursday. Yeah. It was my first pen show. I said, well, I got to get in early because all the pens I want will be sold out before I can see them.
Yeah, and I understand this may not be possible for a lot of people, but if you can go early, go early.
It's also not true that the pens you want will be sold out.
It's not true.
The pens you want will be traded between the people who are the vendors.
You might see it on Thursday on one guy's table, and on Friday it's on the guy next to him.
The real deals happen between... And the vendors know each other really well because they go from each show to each show to each show.
It's like a traveling circus.
I call them carnies.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I walk into a pen show and somebody kind of really wants to get rid of his 35 Esterbrookes, he doesn't know me from Adam, but he sees Brian walking. He says, Brian, take them all. Just take them all.
It'll happen.
And it does happen for you.
Yeah.
I went to see pens. And one thing that did surprise me is that they weren't all inked and ready to write with.
And that's interesting. You told me that before, and that never occurred to me, and I didn't even care on that first show.
I thought, you go to buy a car, you get to drive one before you buy it. And here I want a pen, you don't even get to. So that took me a minute. Except, I should say, Susan Worth's sale.
Susan
Worth inked up all of her pens.
Yeah. And that's why she was always the last person out at the end of the show, too, because they cleaned all their pens at the end of the show before they packed up and left. I mean, they didn't even do dinner. They were all making margaritas, of course, but they were all cleaning all the pens. Yeah. And how many pens does she have on the table?
300-400.
Several hundred, yeah.
And I did buy a pen from her because it was inked up and I could play with it. It was a Waterman 52. It was flexible nib, inexpensive, and because I could actually write with it. Now you can, under certain circumstances, if you're really serious about a pen, you can ask to dip it.
Yeah. There's kind of a line.
Yeah, you're not going to ask you to. Can I dip all 10 of these?
Yeah,
that's too much. But if I'm really serious about this,
particularly with exceptionally rare vintage too, and people, and it happens. People don't know one black vintage hard rubber pen from the next, and one can be $50 and one can be $5,000. So depending on the value, someone may or may not allow you to dip the pen because an expensive or rare vintage pen,
especially if it's new old stock.
Yeah, if it's new old stock, forget it. All bets are off. But
it's interesting you say that you never even thought about being able to write with them because I'm going to say the majority of the pens in your collection have never seen ink ever.
A lot of I thought about it the other day.
But since you got them.
What I ought to do is I ought to take one out a day and try to work on one a day to get them all cleaned and restored.
In your spare time.
Just one a day.
In your spare time.
Yeah. And then I calculated what that would be. So
not going to happen. And I did find pens. I think I got 12 pens.
Wow.
From that first
You bought 12 pens at your first show.
And I don't think I have any of them anymore.
What were they?
I have no idea. Waterman
52. Okay.
And I don't remember off the top of my head. This was
only 13 years ago.
Yes, I know, but it's a lifetime in the world of fountain pens. Yeah. At the time, however, I swore I would never spend more than $100 on a pen, and I never wanted to buy anything except vintage.
How's that going for you?
No, I'm completely different now. I can't possibly spend less than $100, and I don't usually buy vintage. But I discovered what's really the best reason for going to pen shows.
Begins with a P.
People. The people are amazing because suddenly you're in this group of people who completely understand. You're a maniac for pens. Yeah, we all are. Doesn't matter.
Then this is a.
Plus, they're drinkers.
Well,
I mean,
what's even more interesting, I think, is sometimes the conversations you have with people that don't revolve around pens. So, what do you do for, we had dinner.
You find out that you have the pens in common. So you have camaraderie immediately, and you start talking about other things and learn what they do. And
I had dinner with some friends in Ohio, and who I've known for a decade. I had no idea what this gentleman did for work, and come to find out he has a very interesting career. He's an attorney for a very specific field, and I was like,
never knew that.
I never knew it. Yeah. So,
but yes, you meet people, and if you go to more than one pen show, you see them quite often.
Yep.
You do stay in touch because now we have emails and texting and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And you do go to have meals with people. You sit down and have conversations.
You got to stop. You got to eat sometime.
You play with each other's pens. You say, use mine here. Let me try yours. You get to play with lots of pens that way. Not necessarily the ones that are for sale. Right. But sometimes you'll have a pen that I really like, and I'll just go in and buy it because someone else has one.
Yeah.
But I think it's the people. It's mostly a social event, and there happen to be pens.
There happen to be pens.
And inks and papers. And
sometimes you get, like I say, a lot of those good deals. The good deals and the really good pens almost never, ever see the light of the sales floor.
No.
I had, in Columbus, I got at least
there are some deals.
Yeah, there are some
but
deals.
But the amazing ones are...
They're already taken care of.
Yeah.
I had dinner with our buddy Rez, and he said, well, I've got some pens I brought to show you. And I mean, like these super rare, one of 3 ever seen early pilot self-fillers. I mean, just really crazy stuff. And we're sitting there, we're in his room, and we're looking at all his pens that he brought, and he didn't bring them to show to pretty much anybody. And then I had some, and so we were going through, and all of a sudden the phone rings. Lisa's like, are you coming home anytime at all? I'm like, oh, yeah. So she was waiting at the store for me. And,
I'm at a pen show.
Yeah.
I'm at a pen show.
So, yeah, this stuff happens. It's just...
Yeah, I've made a really good, amazing friends because of pen shows.
Hi.
As a matter of fact. And plus, I've gotten some really great pens at pen shows.
Yeah. Good stories, good pens.
And you learn a lot. Yeah. You learn a lot by talking to people and by seeing, and I never even knew this existed. What is this? So if you're at all interested in fountain pens, you have to find the pen show that is closest to you and just go.
And there's about one every month except for December. I still don't think there's any in December.
Nothing.
But about probably 14 or 15 in the
That's
US
in the
now.
States. There's also plenty in Europe.
Madrid show, which...
Madrid, I just went to.
I hear you don't have much other European shows to compare that to? Although I hear Madrid is like the best.
I don't know which is the best. I've been to Madrid and I've been to a couple in the Netherlands.
Okay.
Oh, no, I went to
Canada.
Cologne, too, and Canada.
Okay.
Canada.
Well, I think most of the UK shows are like one-day events.
I think they are.
Which is
okay.
Yeah. But, multi-day event gives you more time to...
Well, that's true. We should say that most of the pen shows in the States are multi-days, at least 2. Many or maybe most are 3. And the best way to do it is to get a room at the hotel and spend the weekend there because that's how you get to know the people better. You get to see more pens. By the 3rd day, you probably know where all the pens are, but you're still meeting people.
Well, keep in mind, though, some of those shows, though, that they move the last couple of days, they move people.
Well, L.A. did that. Philly doesn't do that. I think the 3-day shows don't move people. Yeah. But I think maybe you're talking about Dallas. Do they move people?
No, but just that, like, like
2-day shows.
Some shows that you have assigned tables only on the public days.
Right. Other than L.A., is there any show that doesn't have all their days as public days? Because I think L.A. was the
it's just an L.A. thing.
I think L.A. was
I can't remember.
But yeah, the best way is to be at the show hotel so that you never miss a moment of the fun. Yeah.
Or if you end up doing something stupid like buying a pen display case, you can easily...
Because that happens to all of us.
It happened to me this year. You can easily take it up to your room. You don't have to run up to the car or whatever. Depending on the season, if it's raining, it's cold or whatever, you can just take it.
Yeah, you have a place to relax.
Yeah.
And you get to go to dinner with anyone who's going to dinner.
Yeah.
And people do. They go to dinner.
If you just hang out in the lobby, like right around 5 o'clock,
just go to the bar.
In the lobby. Yeah.
Just go to the bar.
Well, the bar's usually in the lobby.
That's true. Yeah, they're a lot of fun because of the people. So I think that's why you should go. Aside from, you'll see more pens than you've ever seen before.
There's no way you can buy everything that you want to buy. So
no.
But you can have a good time with a lot of cool people.
But how to survive a pen show is something we should at least mention.
Yeah.
Because you need comfortable shoes.
You do, yeah.
You need lots of money. Now, it used to be that you should take cash, but that's really not.
Yeah, it's.
Most vendors have a little swipe thing.
A lot of people nowadays, especially if they're selling modern goods, your Clairefontaine Roadie or whatever, your pilots and things like that, they will take a credit card.
And even if they don't, they will very often take PayPal, and you can just send it right on your phone. Yeah. They look at their phone, they got the money, and they'll give you the pen. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of cash, though. Cash is
king.
Cash is king, and if there is, and for some people, if there is a deal to be had, it's to be had with cash.
True.
Because they're going to take a hit on the credit card processing fee.
You can send PayPal
Well, you
without
can,
fee.
you can, but now we're getting more complicated.
Yes.
You give me cash, I can take that to the bank. I can spend it tonight. I can do whatever I need to do with it.
True.
So
Always have cash.
But the thing with cash is when you're done, you're done. And that doesn't sound
That's
like
not true.
It doesn't sound like a lot of fun,
true.
but when you're
Ask me about Madrid. That's not true.
yes, well, you don't have to worry about is your spouse going to be upset because you bought one pen more than she thought you were going to, or
Oh, you're saying set a budget.
set a budget.
Now,
And then,
some people should set a budget.
well, if you can do it with a credit card, great. But I know a lot of people who can't.
No,
I've got a budget,
I mean,
but
if
this
you
is on
don't-
sale, so
If you don't have some idea,
Yeah.
you can absolutely go crazy at a pen show if you really like pens, because you're going to see everything you see you're going to want.
and it's all for sale.
Which brings me to do a once around the room before you buy anything.
Yeah.
Because you'll stop at the first table and find something you really want, spend half your budget, and
unless-
then the next table, there's something you want even more, and you don't have the money for it anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a caveat. If
If you know what it is.
yeah, and you know that there's only one available for sale every 5 years, get it.
If I go to the first table at let's see, my next show will be I guess Chicago, and the first table if there's a 1932 Esterbrook gold-filled mechanical pencil, I don't care what else is at the show.
Yeah, but see, you know that.
But I know that, yeah.
And I wouldn't even
It's not like
recognize
if I'm looking for a vanishing point, which there will be hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but there'll be dozens. I can afford to walk around the room.
Yeah, it's good to see everything. In theory, it's good to see everything before you start making decisions.
I have three main modes when I go to a pen show.
He's got 3 modes.
I have
He's going to
three
share them
modes,
with us
three
right
modes. Number one is the initial slow perusal.
Reconnaissance.
Usually can be identified by I'm just sauntering back and forth. Then there's mode 2, which is the hunt, and I have a purpose. And maybe it's now Friday morning at a show, and I was there Thursday, but Friday now we have new vendors. I need to go see them immediately because they weren't there yesterday. So I need to see them, and then all the people I didn't see. So now I'm moving a little bit faster.
Reconnaissance.
The hunt.
The kill.
Sometimes for me, pen shows can be a little too people-y.
Two people.
It
Well,
can
we
be
should
two
say
people.
that. Yes, they do get
can
crowded.
be. It's overwhelming at times, especially the larger shows. So for me, the third mode is if you see me out in the lobby at 2:00 in the afternoon, that's what I'm doing. I've had my
It
fill
is
for
good
that.
to step away.
Yes.
It is good to step away.
So, because not only your feet get tired, you need to stop and you need to have a beverage.
But you're allowed to step away. I don't know any show where you can't go in and go out and in and out. Once you've paid, you can have in and out.
But if you have, if I get in a room that's got a lot of people, that's not for me. I'll tolerate it for a little bit,
and then you need to.
and then I go out and I have and I may chat with some people out in the
Regroup,
lobby or whatever.
go
But
back.
then I go back in. Yeah. So
While you're doing your reconnaissance and you're hunting, I will say it's a good idea to make a list of things you might want to see.
yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I've never seen this particular pen. I make you see if it's at the pen show, because you will see pens you've never seen before. And if there's a pen that you particularly want to buy, I used to put it on my name tag. I'm looking for.
Yeah.
So that we should talk about talking to vendors and which pens to touch to survive.
Okay.
I always ask before I touch the pen. Unless I know the person really well, and then I just say, I'm going to touch this pen. And they always say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. Or, do
But they
mind
do
or may I?
appreciate that you say,
Yes.
can I touch it? I mean, some of them are behind glass, so
That's
you don't
obvious.
get
That's
to.
easy, yeah.
But many of them are not.
Yeah.
And I think they appreciate it if you just say,
It's just common courtesy. I mean, some people, I do know some people who are a little more finicky about that. They don't want you to touch anything. And general rule, that's kind of the exception rather than the rule. Most
Yeah, I
people are
think so.
very, very
Yeah,
happy
no.
to. But I have literally seen people with signs up on the table that says, "Don't touch the pens." I mean, I don't. I don't think they're
they
going to
must
sell
have
much.
had a bad experience.
Yes, but and especially with vintage pens, modern pens, it's a little bit easier. But with vintage pens,
Most especially with vintage pens.
you don't know, does the cap pull off? Is it threaded? Is it not coming off because it's hard? Because it's sticky in there?
I suppose you can always say, could you show me that pen?
Usually what I do, because I have a pretty good idea of what pens are screw caps and what aren't just by looking at them. And if I can't get something open, and it usually happens with friction fit caps, I'll just hand it back to them. I said, do you mind? I don't want to ruin your pen.
Right.
And they'll be happy
And
to
they'll
do
be
it.
happy to show it
They'll
to
be
you
happy
and
to
explain the pen to you.
Yeah.
They generally know what they're selling.
Yeah, generally speaking. Yeah. You get the occasional, well, it's a Montblanc. It's worth a lot of money. Well, okay. Not all of them are.
Might be true.
But yeah, most people know what they have. They have a pretty good idea unless they got it in trade. And that happens a lot. You'd be like, I just got this estate auction. I took what I wanted. I don't want this. I'm going to sell it to you. You take some of it. You sell some of it to some. And I've seen that happen, especially with some of our friends who are really big into that. And they just keep coming back. I don't know where they get this stuff because I never saw it on the floor to begin with. And they're coming back with boxes of desk sets and that they picked up somewhere in the room.
Haven't you purchased things at pen shows that never made it into the building? Like in the parking lot?
Yeah, I bought things in the
Yeah. That's how that happens, Brian. That's how that happens.
Yeah,
I never saw it in the room.
But these were presumably in the room, though.
Maybe. Oh, well, sometimes there's stuff in the room behind the table where the vendor is waiting for someone he knows to come by and say, okay, I wanted this.
And we used to do that, too. We had, we used to call it our Judd box. Judd Pearl, who sells a lot on eBay, and he'll sell anything on eBay. Nice guy. His son is following him into the business. But we'd have a Judd box. And whenever we get a pen that was broken or it was kind of, whatever, we'd throw it in the box. And we would bring the box to the show. And Judd would come up to us and he'd go, what do you got for me? And I'd put it out and he goes, oh, okay. And then that was it. He didn't even look at it.
Judd box.
Yeah, it's a Judd box, So, I guess we would have that. But
the vendors have their own.
They know who's going to take the junk. And
their own social network within the vendors, which is good.
Yeah.
You guys all know each other, and
lots of hugs.
Coming from, I run a show, the Philadelphia Pen Show, which by the way is next weekend. In case you're anywhere near it, I remember it was kind of thrown at me, and I had never run a show before. I had attended shows, but I've never run a show.
I don't know how you do that. I wouldn't want to do that.
And I was in LA running a Philadelphia Pen Show. People say, how can you do that? Well, you do all the planning ahead of time.
Yeah.
Well, who knows what to plan? Because anyway, I was very worried about how it was all going to turn out. And then all the vendors showed up. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they've done this so many times. They just do it.
Yeah, most of them are pretty good. The biggest problem, probably, correct me if I'm wrong, is usually I mailed a package here. It's not here. Where is it?
That happens.
That's usually like the biggest. I mean,
I can't reach the electricity sometimes.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of knows exactly what to do to get a pen show going.
Yeah.
Because.
And they bring their own stuff.
They bring their stuff.
We used to just bring our own covers because you never knew. Table covers, you never knew if you were going to get them, if they're going to be any good, whatever. So we always had them.
Yeah, the vendors are all experienced at pen shows, which helped a lot.
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, if you go around that room and you see, I mean, these people are, this is not what they do for a living.
No.
About 80% of them don't, this is just their hobby. And I bet you there's probably a large percentage of people in the room that have been more pen shows than I have been. I mean, these guys have been going for 20, 30 years, 40 years, something.
And sometimes it seems like you shouldn't talk to them because they're sitting behind the table, like reading a book or something. But they're friendly people.
Yeah, that topic has come up before. The stereotypical older, grumpy, vintage seller who doesn't want to talk to you. But
I don't think they don't want to talk.
I don't think that's it. That's not it.
No, no vendor in there is not friendly.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, they're all.
If
friendly.
anything, they might be shy.
Yeah. Well,
until you start talking to them.
I will tell you this. I'd be willing to bet that for a lot of these people, and I certainly would be the same way, they're not going there to sell pens. They're there to see their buddies.
True.
To see their friends.
There's many like that.
There's a lot. And then those guys, they always, because you notice that there's groups that will always go out.
Yes.
And it's somebody from the UK, and it's somebody from Spain, and it's somebody from Israel, and it's the whole group of people. And every show that they come to, they all
pen shows are fun.
Yeah.
You've recently been able to go to pen shows as an attendee because you did many as Anderson Pens.
Yes.
And now, where have you been recently? I know you go to Chicago. You went to Ohio.
I was Chicago and Ohio on my own this year, or last year, and I've got 3 shows planned for this year.
What are they?
So Chicago, of course, in May. In June, and haven't really said much about this yet, but June I'll be going to St. Louis, and I will actually be doing presenting a seminar.
I didn't even know this.
You knew this.
Did I?
I think you did.
What's the seminar?
The seminar is going to be on vintage pen buying for newbies.
Oh.
Because
What are you doing next weekend? You come to Philly.
yeah. Well, and I got the idea because I was in Ohio, and somebody who watches the show came up to me, introduced herself, and she was lovely, and says, "Wow, I like all these vintage pens. I don't know anything about them. It's so overwhelming."
Oh, that's true.
I mean, there are literally millions of different
teach
models.
everything in 1 hour either.
You can't teach it in an hour, but I bet you can give people kind of a nice, easy rundown on it. These are tier 1 manufacturers, tier 2.
We've had this conversation.
Tier 3, yeah. And you can.
So you're going to go to the seminar and just play our Sunday brunch?
Yeah.
Pass out popcorn?
Oh yeah. No. Well, I've actually started working on it. So, there'll be Saturday and Sunday of the St. Louis show. I'll be giving a seminar both days. So.
Excellent.
I'll be there, and then I'm definitely going to go to Ohio again this year. So.
Yeah. I remember a time when you used to do pen shows and you came to Philly and you did an Esterbrook. How to resack an Esterbrook.
Yeah, we did that. A resack seminar. That was kind of fun.
We didn't even mention seminars.
Seminars.
That's another reason to go.
Lots of cool seminars.
To go to pen shows. They also kind of repeat.
Yes.
So, Susan Worth used to give a seminar at every show she was at, but it was always the same one. So once you saw it, you didn't really have to see it again. But there's always new people that come to pen shows.
Yeah.
There's seminars, workshops.
Been doing calligraphy seminars for a decade. I've never been to one because I've never been able to go to one.
Right.
I would love to go to one. I really would, but.
Or maybe in St. Louis.
Maybe in St. Louis.
Or Chicago. Yeah. Or even Ohio.
One of those three.
One of those three. You've got some opportunities.
Those are the three that I'm going to do this year. I was thinking about going to the California show, but that's just not going to happen.
That's in February.
That's next month. Yeah.
There's also San Francisco show, which is supposed to be spectacular. I haven't been there.
It is a good show. It is a good show. Yeah. Yeah. The California shows are really nice. Really nice.
The problem for vendors, the problem is not that it's a problem. They do it. The San Francisco show is 2 weeks after the DC show, or is it might be the other way around? But they're very close together for the vendors to travel and restock. But the DC show, we should say, is very likely the largest show.
Very likely, the largest show.
I don't know how you quantify that, but there's so many vendors, so many tables.
It's
people.
LA and DC. It's a good thing they're on opposite sides because they're both fairly equally large. But DC, I think
DC,
slight edge
over LA, and they don't do the Sunday only thing,
right?
That I recall.
Any
pen show, go to the one that is closest to you first. Yeah. And when you get hooked, then you just start traveling the country and following.
Yeah. There are some that are smaller shows.
Even those are good, especially if your first one.
Yeah.
Any pen show is good if it's the only pen show in town.
Yeah.
Any pen show.
Yeah.
So, last thoughts? Otherwise, we have jokes.
Seminars, walk around,
water,
shoes, eat, bring cash,
stay hydrated. Visit the bar.
You know what?
Take breaks.
Here's one that kind of seems obvious, but sometimes it could be helpful. If you know you're going and you're going to meet up with some of your friends, schedule your dinners in advance because you never know. I have a lot of friends who are now I'm technically not on the vendor side anymore, but some of my vendor friends are now having dinner with their suppliers or whatever. And if you want to have dinner with these people, other than just chatting at the show, schedule it up in advance. Say, hey, listen, I'm open Saturday, Sunday, and whatever. Are you available? Because otherwise, if you get there and you wait, they may have, you may find out, oh, well, I'm not going to be here Sunday, or I'm not going to be here,
Yeah, that's if you have somebody that absolutely have to have dinner
with,
because you can always find somebody to have dinner.
You can always find somebody.
Always. But just go to the bar. Just go to the bar. There is a lot of drinking that happens at pen shows.
It can, yeah.
I think it has slowed down, but maybe not. Maybe not.
I've turned into an old fuddy-duddy, so I don't stay at the bar.
When did that happen? You don't stay at the bar. I have a joke for you.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's for Justin. What do you call a person who films spices? Justin doesn't know. What do you call a person who makes films?
Director.
That's another word. This person who films spices is a cinematographer. That's a filmmaker's joke. Go ahead, tell me another story. Cinematographer. I like that.
I was at the zoo the other day.
Where are you?
I went to the zoo.
The Appleton Zoo?
The Appleton Zoo,
Okay.
yeah. It's well known that
get
the
a location bumper on it.
So the Appleton Zoo is a well-known fact that they have a couple of giraffes.
Giraffes?
Giraffes.
2 giraffes at the Appleton Zoo.
Do we have a zoo? I don't know.
We don't have a zoo. Do we have a zoo?
But they were having a race. You
The
believe
giraffes?
this? The giraffes were racing.
Okay.
It was neck and neck.
Was it really? So bad. So bad. When's our next Sunday brunch?
The stakes were high. I don't know. When is our next Sunday brunch?
February.
It's not going to be, I'm gone, you're gone.
February 12th is what I've got on this piece of paper.
Okay,
Of
it's
course, I
February
think we're a
12th.
week early for this. I think I said in December that it would be next week, but we're both going to be gone. So I said, let's
be a nice
do it
surprise.
now. Thanks for joining us. Next Sunday brunch will be Sunday, February 12th, unless things change. Unless things change. Thank you very much. Bye.